profile has been compiled and recorded by Dustin Cormier, a Scorpio born in the year of the Metal Ram, 1991, and in the hour of the Rat. The Ox, referred to in Chinese as the Chu branch, born 1949, 1961, 1973, 1985, 1997, 2009, and 2021. The ox is a yin water element animal, with earth as its secondary element. The direction appointed to ox is north-northeast. Its season is winter, and its principal month is January. It is the second animal in the Chinese Zodiac. Keywords: steadiness, perseverance, determination. Ox correlates to the Western sign of Capricorn. The following material comes from Taoist Astrology, a handbook of authentic Chinese tradition by Suzanne Levitt with Jean Tang. Copyright by Suzanne Levitt and Jean Tang, 1997. I do not own the following content. Please note that the usage of masculine and feminine pronouns in some of these Oriental astrology texts vary in certain signs. Sometimes the feminine signs, such as the sign of the ox, shall be described as a yin essence or as a female person, using the pronoun she rather than he. This is simply because the essence of the sign of the ox is traditionally considered yin or feminine. Keep in mind that the descriptions of the ox, which use the pronoun she, are equally true for the male ox as well. Ox year. Ox and all cattle are blessed by the compassionate Chinese goddess Kuan Yin because of their gentle, peaceful nature. Kuan Yin is known as Kwanon in Japan. The ancient Taoists harnessed the ox but didn't milk it, for they honored this strong, hard-working animal. The mythical golden-haired ox king, Yu Wang, protected cattle from epidemics. In the Buddhist tradition, the white ox, or the metal ox, symbolizes contemplation and wisdom. Some translations refer to ox as buffalo, water buffalo, bull, male, or cow, female. According to an ancient Taoist legend, humans have a special relationships with ox. In early agricultural communities, people often went for days without eating and feared starvation. To aid suffering humans, the gods and goddesses removed ox from heaven, where she was a star, and sent her to earth. The divine ones instructed ox to tell people that with her help they would avoid starvation and would eat every 3 days. Ox misunderstood and told humanity that they would eat 3 times a day. Ox had to make her words true, and that is why ox must labor so hard for people and endure many burdens without complaint. The year of the ox is time for hard work. Like ox plowing the fields, we must toil during this year. Success is attained through diligent work and conscientious effort. Begin by putting your affairs in order, especially your home. Stick to routine, tried and true methods and conservative actions. Wild, new concepts will not be well received. Save them for the following tiger year. Ox year is not a time for laziness. Those who won't work won't eat. But if we refrain from rebelling, follow the rules, and try to obey authorities, there will be a bountiful harvest. Expect conservative politics. The ox's triangle of affinity, the earth triangle, who are called the thinkers. The ox is part of the second triangle of affinity, which consists of the most purposeful and steadfast signs. The ox, snake, and rooster are dutiful and dedicated fighters who strive to reach the great heights and conquer by their sheer constancy and unfailing determination. These 3 are fixed in their views and given to thought and systematic planning. They are the most intellectual signs of the cycle. They rely on their own assessments of facts and figures and give little credence to hearsay advice. They are most likely to comply with the dictates of their heads rather than their hearts. Slow and sure, they prefer to act independently. They will invariably seek each other out and can marry and intermingle most successfully. The ox will encounter his most serious personality clashes with people born in the year of the sheep. Anyone whose ascendant is in the hours of the sheep will also conflict with the ox. In the circle of conflict, the ox and the sheep are 180 degrees apart, and thus total opposites. The ox's direction or compass point is north-northwest. The sheep's direction is identified as south-southwest. The ox rules in winter, the sheep's season is summer. The ox's fixed element is water, while its opposite, the sheep's natural element, is fire. After the most compatible signs, the snake and the rooster, and the least compatible partner, the sheep, the other 9 signs are compatible with ox to varying degrees. Ox personality. The person born in an ox year is methodical, dependable, hardworking, patient, diligent, and ethical. She is independent, steadfast, and careful. She won't take action before having carefully thought through the entire project and planned out every detail. Ox believes in achieving goals step by step. Once ox sets a goal, she won't relent until the objective is attained. Possessing high morals and standards, ox has integrity and can be trusted. Ox is usually self-reliant, believes deeply in what she does, and has faith in her ability to get the job done. She is noted for determination in accomplishing tasks. The ox individual doesn't seek shortcuts and sometimes disrespects those who do. Ox is generally an honest person with strong values. Like underground seeds struggling to grow toward the sunlight, ox can find life's journey laborious and the rewards uncertain. Ox believes that if she applies herself and performs, she will be recognized and rewarded. Ox firmly perseveres and is not swayed easily by other people's opinions. Rarely does ox make an effort to seek social connections to achieve success. But in today's work environment, where advancement often depends on how you sell yourself, ox may have to wait a long time to get her just rewards. In this circumstance, the ox individual can feel underappreciated. But ox must not become bitter and frustrated because of this, for the ox temperament can do even more damage to hinder success. Ox can make a dependable and loyal friend or mate. If you have a friend born in an ox year, don't be defensive when she bluntly points out your flaws. Ox is not afraid to speak candidly and won't soften criticism to spare your feelings. It is her way of expressing that she cares. In relationship, ox is a good provider. It is better for ox to be pursued than to be the hunter in selecting a mate. The surprises and thrills of romance may not be ox's forte because she may not be overtly romantic. Nor is ox the first to try new things, set new trends, or take the initiative. Ox is home-oriented and appreciates both a secure environment and a home. Ox enjoys feasts and snacks and often overeats out of habit. To ox, it's not overeating, it's just grazing. Stubbornness is the most negative ox trait. Ox will go to great lengths to prove that she is right, sometimes at the risk of breaking a friendship or hurting other people's feelings. Even though ox appears peaceful and at ease most of the time, anger ox at your own risk and face the wrath of a wild bull. Ox child and parent. The ox child will be a tough kid, not a crybaby, who can endure hardship without complaint. She enjoys privacy, is expected to be a late talker, and enjoys physical outdoor activities. Impulsive surprises and sudden changes in plans are seen as threats to her security. Ox children born in the winter after the crops are harvested have an easier life, but the spring and summer-born ox labors and plows the fields, meaning she must work hard to accomplish tasks. The ox child will not be a crybaby, even if he or she is sickly. This child has the willpower and inner stamina to endure whatever trials life may bring. Usually tough and not very talkative, the ox child will likely be obedient and attentive. He will follow the examples of his elders without question, be they good or bad. So it is imperative that he learn the difference between right and wrong at a very early age. A rugged individualist, the ox child tends to begin speaking late and prefers to settle arguments with his fists instead of his tongue. Stubborn and unyielding when his mind is made up, he can turn the house upside down when he insists on having his own way. He is not a whiner or complainer, but he can be adamant about the few concessions he does demand. One of them will be his privacy. He will know how to be discreet, even secretive, at an early age, and can be trusted to keep confidences. He won't resent discipline, and in fact will welcome your establishing a schedule for him. He may insist that his meals be served at the same time each day, although he will not be particular about food. Regularity is what the ox thrives on. Knowing where everything is and what exactly is expected of him gives him a sense of security. A girl born under this sign will keep her room neat and organized and will establish her own routine without too much supervision. The ox youngster enjoys taking charge when mother or teacher is away and is stern and unsympathetic to offenders. He can and usually will give you an unbiased opinion, as he is not easily influenced or taken in by flattery. Instead of bribing him or her, it would be more effective to simply say, "It's an order." He is not argumentative by nature, but you must gain his respect before he will cooperate with you. The ox child relishes teaching younger children and will display remarkable patience waiting for what he wants and great perseverance while waiting for it. Being the strong, silent type, he may not readily reveal his feelings. He can be deeply hurt and no one may even suspect it. Although he always presents a strong, brave front, the ox can be terribly naive about the realities of life. He needs to be protected in this respect and will rely heavily on moral support from his parents, teachers, and family. At school, he may be an exemplary student as he is not one to lock horns with the authorities. His serious and no-nonsense outlook on life makes him avoid joking or clowning around. He should be encouraged to overcome his natural shyness and develop his sense of humor. Above all, the ox child will be responsible and reliable. He will win the respect of his elders as well as his peers. This child can be an outstanding example of both a good leader and follower. With a minimum of guidance, he will take the initiative to perform to the best of his ability and prove his worthiness to himself and all who know him. The ox parent. The ox parent will organize a child's life and schedule all activities. Balanced meals can be expected at the same time every day. The no-nonsense ox parent expects children to follow rules and routines. Ox's children will be rewarded if they conform, earn good grades, dress conservatively, etc. The same rules of compatibility apply as for ox relationships. Ox favors serpent, phoenix or rooster, and rat children, who perform best due to the stability of strong family security. Ox, hare, dog, and boar children will comply and obey, but tiger, dragon, monkey, horse, and sheep children would rather rebel. If an ox parent doesn't ease up on the rules with these artistic types, rebellion could cause family problems. Ox instinct may be to clamp down harder. Then there may be the risk of a runaway child, especially a horse child. The following material comes from the Handbook of Chinese Astrology, 7th edition, by Theodora Lau and Laura Lau. Published by Harper Books, New York, U.S. Copyrighted by the estate of Theodora Lau and Laura Lau Karmakar in 2010. The second sign of the lunar cycle, the ox. The ox is often referred to in celestiology texts as the enforcer. This is the enforcer's song. Mine is the stabilizing force that perpetuates the cycle of life. I stand immobile against the test of adversity, resolute and unimpeachable. I seek to serve integrity, to bear the burdens of righteousness. I abide by the laws of nature, patiently pushing the wheel of fate. Thus I weave my own destiny. I am the ox. The ox, or buffalo, rules the 2-hour segment of the day between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. This period of time follows that of the rat and precedes that of the tiger hours. Persons born during these 2 hours are said to have the ox sign as their ascendant and will display many of the characteristics peculiar to this sign and have great affinity for persons born under the sign of the ox. Quite possibly, one parent might also belong to the year of the ox. The ox personality. The ox symbolizes the attainment of prosperity through fortitude and hard work. A person born during this year will be dependable, calm, and methodical. A patient and tireless worker, he sticks to routine and conventions. Although he is generally fair-minded and a good listener, it is difficult to persuade him to change his views, as he is stubborn and often has strong prejudices. Still, because of his steady and reliable character, the ox person will be awarded positions of authority and trust. He will not fall short when duty calls. As a matter of fact, he should be careful not to get totally wrapped up in his responsibilities. Beneath the ox's somewhat modest but neat appearance is a resolute and logical mind. His intelligence and dexterity are masked by his reticent and undemonstrative front. Yet, in spite of being basically an introvert, his forceful nature can turn him into a commanding and eloquent speaker when the occasion demands. In times of turmoil, his presence of mind, refusal to be intimidated, and innate self-confidence will enable him to restore order. He walks with his head held high. A person born under this particular sign is systematic. He adheres to fixed patterns and has great respect for tradition. In fact, he tends to do exactly what is expected of him, and is so predictable that he may be unfairly criticized for a lack of imagination. But the dutiful ox knows that only through doing things in their proper order can he hope to achieve lasting success. His is the uncluttered mind. You won't find him muddling through life depending on others or his luck to pull him through. What people born under the other signs may accomplish by guile and wit, the ox will achieve by sheer tenacity and dedication. You can rely on his promises. Once he gives his word, he will stick by it. Public opinion means little to him. He will apply himself wholeheartedly to whatever task he is doing and finish the job. The ox detests loose ends. When it comes to affairs of the heart, the ox can be terribly naive. He cannot fully comprehend the entrapments of love, much less employ enticing strategy and other allures to plead his romantic cause. Don't expect lyric poetry and moonlight serenades from him. He just doesn't have the right chemistry for these sort of things. Even his gifts are likely to be strong, durable, and unpretentious. Because they are traditionalists, ox men and women will also be inclined to long courtships. It takes them time to develop intimate relationships because they are slow to warm up and reveal their true feelings. The ox man may be a well-educated, distinguished speaker, a well-traveled leader of men, yet he can turn into a fumbling, tongue-tied lad when it comes to wooing his fair maiden. But if you marry him and place your trust squarely on his shoulders, he will never disappoint you. He will stick by you faithfully. You never need worry about the rent or bills getting paid on time. The ox likes to get his priorities straight, so don't expect diamonds and caviar unless he can really afford them. Life will always be as comfortable as he can make it, and his family will never be in need. If you have the good fortune to marry an ox lady, you have picked a no-nonsense type of girl. She is efficient without being fussy and protective without being too dominating. Soft-spoken and confident, she will know what needs to be done and how to do it without wasting time and resources. She tends to take the initiative, and you will find her anticipating your wishes with uncanny accuracy. At times, she can be overly concerned about details and punctuality. The ox hates being late for anything. Like the well-trained Girl Scout, she is always prepared. She will handle finances well and do more than her fair share of housekeeping. Honest, hard-working, and above reproach, she is the ideal wife. The ox may not be the life of the party, but he or she is certainly the backbone of society. Persons born under this sign are charitable by nature and make good social workers. The ox may be the good Samaritan who saved someone and then left without giving his or her name. The ox will not abandon you in times of trouble. He's around for the good times as well as the bad. A lot of wonderful things come wrapped in plain brown paper. The ox is one of them. Don't ever belittle the packaging. He's worth his weight in gold. Aside from his many sterling qualities, the ox person is also known to nurture grievances far too long. He has a long and exacting memory, and injuries are remembered down to their last detail. The ox holds grudges for too long. He would be better off if he could lighten up and stop taking life so seriously. Injuries and insults, real or imagined, can be magnified by the ox person, who tends to be oversensitive where his pride is concerned. Whereas other signs, such as the tiger, rooster, or dragon, may complain vehemently when they are upset, and the sheep and rabbit will sulk and become morose, the ox will react by plunging himself into hard work to alleviate his misery and tension. If severely disappointed in love, he may bury himself in his work forever and lead a solitary existence instead of running the risk of ever being humiliated or rejected again. The ox will insist on settling his accounts. Debts will be paid to the last decimal point. If he owes you something, he will never forgive himself if he doesn't show his gratitude in a meaningful and tangible way. No profuse but empty phrases of appreciation from him. He considers flowery words and lavish flattery uncouth and beneath his dignity. But it won't come as a surprise when you find out that the gruff fellow who barely managed to mumble a thank you left you something in his will. Well, that's a typical ox gesture for you. If anyone's actions speak louder than his words, his do. Beware if you overtax the ox's legendary patience. When an ox person does lose his temper, he is really someone to reckon with. It can be a terrifying experience. There will be no reasoning with him. He will act like a bull and attack anyone in his path. The only advisable thing to do is to get out of his way until he cools off. By and large, however, he is seldom given to such a taxing display of temper unless he finds a situation truly unbearable. Most of the time, we find the ox suffering quietly and bearing his problems without complaints. At home, the ox's word is law. He knows how to give orders as well as follow them, and he expects his directives to be carried out to the letter. He has a materialistic outlook on life, and although he may be inordinately fond and proud of his family, he demands a lot from them too. He will use the yardstick of success and personal achievement to measure his love for them. Even though he is not easily moved by emotions, he is a good parent and provider and is capable of great sacrifices for his family's welfare. When and where it really counts, the ox person will not let their loved ones down. They have no reason to feel insecure about themselves, as they will likewise be well cared for all their lives. Reason dictates that one so valuable should not be left to fend for themselves. An ox person will always be an asset to his firm and family. The ox born during the day will be more aggressive and active than the quiet night ox. Similarly, the winter ox will have a more trying life in leaner times than the summer ox. The native of this lunar sign is a down-to-earth type who will follow his head rather than his heart. To win your case, appeal to his reason and intelligence. Make a list of the pros and cons and support every item with pertinent and credible data. Sentiment alone rarely makes the ox change his mind. He also possesses a strong constitution and does not get sick easily. Proud and uncompromising, the ox is disdainful of weaknesses in others. If he can learn to cultivate more humor and compassion, he will be much happier. Likely to be a self-made man, he staunchly believes everyone should pull his own weight, and no hedging about it either. At his worst, the ox is unapproachable, inflexible, and narrow-minded. His lack of tact and consideration for others, coupled with a militant view of life, could at times make him unsuitable for positions involving public relations and diplomatic maneuvering. However, he is respected and liked for his basic honesty, unpretentiousness, and steadfast principles. He inspires loyalty in all his subordinates, and no task is beneath him. As mentioned earlier, the ox person is not someone who takes shortcuts. His dignity and integrity will prevent him from resorting to unfair means to achieve his goals. He will dislike asking others for help. As a matter of fact, he is so self-reliant that you may have to beg him to accept any aid. The ox has dynastic tendencies. Careful and conscientious, he builds things to last. This sturdiness will extend to his offspring in generations to come, even if they are not born under the same sign. His excellent character makes him an empire builder. If he is true to his ideals and follows his superior instincts, he will take all precautions to ensure the prosperity and survival of his lineage. A natural-born leader and disciplinarian, he can sometimes be too rigid. The ox will lay down the law and stand no rebellion in areas under his control. He builds his life around his home, work, and country, and will always prefer long-term, stable investments. Being a creature of habit, he is no gambler. Risks and razor-thin margins unnerve him because they endanger the profound need for security. Of all the 12 signs, the colorful but somewhat eccentric rooster will bring sunshine into the ox's orderly life and make him a splendid partner. Both have high respect for authority, admire efficiency, and possess a strong dedication to duty, and these common attributes will unite them successfully. Almost as well suited will be the affectionate rat or the wise snake, both of whom will care deeply for the worthy ox. Dragon, rabbit, another ox, horse, boar, and monkey will be compatible to a lesser degree. The dog may find the ox too bland and criticize his lack of humor. The dog himself will not care for the company of the capricious sheep or the rebellious tiger natives, who in turn will resent his authoritarian ways. Whatever happens, one can be sure that the success enjoyed by the ox will have been earned by his own merits. In short, the strong and disciplined ox does not expect and will not get any free rides in his life. This stalwart fellow will emerge a winner through his own efforts, and no one could be more deserving of his victories. Now, the following material comes from Cosmic Astrology, an east-west guide to your internal energy persona, by Mantak Chia and William U. Wei, published and copyrighted in 2012 by Destiny Books in Rochester, Vermont, U.S. I do not own the following content. The year of the ox or the buffalo. In some cultures, the buffalo is seen as hard-working but possessing very little intelligence. The buffalo is hard-working, you bet. Just watch this beast of burden hauling the heavy load, whether it be plowing the rice fields or drawing a heavily laden wagon. The buffalo is a dullard. Here are some noted names of world-renowned artists famous for their clever creativity: Bach, Handel, and Dvorak in the musical sphere, as well as Vincent van Gogh, Walt Disney, and Charlie Chaplin. These are extraordinary buffaloes. The danger with citing the famous is that one must also cite the infamous. Napoleon Bonaparte and Adolf Hitler were also hard-working and diligent in their perseverance and laboring towards their goals. Oxes are not known for being romantic. However, they can be quite affectionate. They are loyal and faithful to a fault. They care deeply for family and close friends. They have self-imposed high standards and expect those in their inner circle to adhere to and meet those lofty expectations. Oxes are pretty serious beings. Sex is not high on their list of priorities. The rooster, rat, or snake can seduce the buffalo with patience and creative wiles. Oxes are faithful to the family, but sometimes they do stray so as to break out of the rigorous discipline and schedule they have set for themselves. Oxes like to relax at home. They are not social animals, and you have your work cut out for you if you want to pry them out of the home garden and go to a party. Oxes have fiery tempers and are easily provoked. Others can be inspired by the self-confidence demonstrated by ox people. Some people call oxes stubborn. It is only because oxes are following their way, which they know to be the way. Ox virtues include tranquility, patience, honesty, modesty, and responsibility. The buffalo makes a great couple with rooster, snake, or rat. Buffaloes have the reputation of being in charge of human nature through reflection and meditation. The problem is that some folks view the buffalo as aloof or antisocial. For the buffalo, it is obvious that some thoughtful contemplation benefits all. Ox is a deep thinker. Our hard-working, deep-thinking ox oftentimes has an interior polar opposite that can be manifested in tomfoolery. When this creature wants to get up to some mischief, it's difficult to see it coming. Such nonsense is totally unexpected from oxes. Listen with respectful attention when ox begins a recounting of a family drama. Ox can speak with such gravity and involvement that his reporting can seem like historical fact or highly refined entertainment. If an ox were writing this, we would have a book-length exposition of the subject, and it would never be boring. The ox is quite willing to be the center of attention, especially if it serves the enlightenment of the immediate audience. With all of the thoughtfulness ox inserts into any endeavor, success cannot elude this hard-working, stable creature.